Okay, firstly, what problems are we trying to solve? And I've had luckily a brief conversation with a few of you tonight. And I've seen there's quite a bit of expertise in the digital asset or security token market. But I'm just going to run through it, and we're welcome to address it in the Q&A, everything further. So, entrepreneurs globally, the biggest problem is launching a compliant security token. There's actually few people that know launching actual compliant security token. There's a lot of securities laws in different jurisdictions, and it's a lot more than just excluding America and doing KYC. Individuals have difficulty accessing a secondary market and banking services, especially more focused on Africa. And I would like to emphasize this. Although we're focusing on Africa, we remain a global company. It is just a logical place for us to start. We have almost a monopoly market, I would like to say. In Africa, where there's no real competitors. Although Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa is respectively the 3rd, 5th, and 6th largest Bitcoin holders per capita in the world, according to Citibank. Now, if you just think about it, in South Africa alone, we got Monero founders, Cardano is large in Ethiopia, currently based there, Rand Manure. I know so many whales with 40,000, 10,000 Bitcoins each. Due to our volatile currency, a lot of people use digital assets as a form of hedging strategy against the volatile Rand. And I saw there was news out today again, the GDP declined by 3.2%, so I'm assuming the Rand is going to get hit hard again tonight. That is the most it's been declined in 10 years, just a fun fact. In terms of, clearly it's difficult launching a compliant security token. The number one problem for entrepreneurs remain raising capital. The legal process can be so slow and expensive. There are few lawyers that actually focuses in the STO space. Of course, every lawyer will always tell you they know what they're doing, but it can be a very expensive and uncompetitive market. And the SEC will not hesitate to fine or imprison you if you execute this wrongfully. We've seen it so many times in the past. Globally, we've also seen it is difficult for blockchain companies to open bank accounts. And not even addressing the fact that it's difficult to convert your digital assets for your everyday day-to-day payments. Practically also 2 billion people remain unbanked globally. Just a fun fact on that note, Africa alone has got 34% bank accounts. 34% of people have bank accounts. Now, mobile phone users grew from 3% to 80% over the past decade. Now, there's clearly, with that advancement, there's clearly a lot of scope for access to bank accounts. Fun fact, venture capital deal flow globally per annum is roughly $100 billion. Africa receives less than 1% of that deal flow. Now, MOBU aims to become the trusted source of both the primary market for raising capital for strong vetted projects, but also to create the secondary market, which I'll touch a bit more later, to ensure global investors can exit out of their investments. What are we effectively doing? We are upgrading capital markets as we know it today. If you just look at trading fees, in traditional equity markets, it's anything that ranges between 0.5 and 3%, where in the blockchain world, it's clearly a lot more efficient. You'll typically see in your strong competitive exchanges a fee of between 0.1 and 0.25%. Also, if you look at IPOs, the investment banks charges up to 10% in fees. Now, STOs has been known and proven to be off that. The reason why the ICO was so high is because it was a cheap funding model at the end of the day, but it also proved to the world it can raise capital, but it also showed that it needs to be regulated to protect investors. Another thing I would like to add there is corporate actions. I'm referring to stock splits, voting, and dividend payments. That is roughly a $10 billion fee per annum. Now that is something you can inherit in the protocol and automate that whole process and effectively save companies globally another $10 billion. So MOBU is the full infrastructure solution for the next generation of assets, depending on which jurisdiction we are, security token, regulated smart securities, regulated digital assets, it all comes down to the same thing. In terms of the issuance platform, I mentioned, ideally over the long term, the idea is to be a digital asset issuance platform. But the adoption of security tokens, as we need to be realistic about it, will take time. And similar to, what's the name? I forgot the company's name. It's on the tip of my tongue. No, there's they recently they got a valuation of $120 million. But bottom line, they raised both equity and security tokens for companies. They sold 1% of the company for like $1 million recently on Back to the Future. We've got some strong advisors we onboarded. The guy he started Outfitter Capital. He raised over R1 billion in the first 3 months and exited successfully. So he's got very strong experience in the space. He's a Stanford lecturer as well. And Steve strongly believes we can raise within 3 years, raise between $1 and $2 billion for companies in Africa, strong vetted companies. And as our revenue model, which I'll get to a bit later, we take up 1 to 5% of that raise amount. The Smart Securities Exchange, we're buying equity in a licensed operational stock exchange in South Africa. Now, in South Africa, there's 2 profitable stock exchanges. The JSE, which we all know, top 20 globally in the world by market cap and volume, and Equity Express. Now, I'll get to the detail of what I've invested personally as well, but majority has been funded, and due to my track record, they gave me the opportunity to buy equity stake in the stock exchange and also obtain a board seat. It currently already has a turnover of 500 million rand, that is roughly $32 million. So that allows us for a secondary market and traditional equities as well as digital assets, and it's not only South African listings, but global inward listings as well. This is a proven concept, it has been done, it's already listed on the exchange. And the third is digital banking solution. The main idea behind this, there's no debit card solution in the whole of Africa for digital securities. There's a lot of guys that claim they can do it. We have all the licenses in place with the same licenses that Revolut has, one of the biggest unicorns of our time, valued at over $3 billion, only operating in the EU. I know they're expanding a little bit now. They are onboarding about 10,000 users per day. We're the first and only on the second largest continent of the world. Of course, there's a few other countries that we'd like to target, Brazil, India, Singapore, and a few surrounding countries as well. I'll get in a bit more detail to that a bit later on. Don't want to get too technical. Long and short here is, according to NovaBlock Capital and Toro Capital, one of our partners, one of the largest investment banks and broker-dealers in America, by digitizing the private placement issuance process, there's an estimated cost saving of 40% over a 5-year period. Research done by them, now that is a tremendous figure. The private placements raise roughly $3 trillion globally per annum. So you can think what the net effect of a 40% saving over a 5-year period can be. I don't think I'm going to touch too much on this. Just in terms of the issuance platform, and I'll get you the competitive advantage a bit later on. In the issuance platform on the back end, we designed our own protocol, similar to the ST20 protocol, similar to we see the ERC 1400 protocol from Ethereum, but we got some add-on features to that because nobody's really the stock splits and dividend payment side, as nobody has perfected that side. At the end of the day, it's actually just a few lines of code added to an ERC20 token. But one of the most important thing about a security token that differentiates it from a utility token is a regulator needs to have the ability to recall the tokens. And that is something you can't do with ERC20. It's immutable. Once the tokens is transferred, you can't recall the tokens. Now I know Securitize in America, I'm assuming a lot of you guys are familiar with them. I believe they're currently one of the leaders in this space. They use a ERC20 token, but they hold the master keys of every issuance, so they can modify the security token at the end of the day. But that's once there becomes volume in this space, it's going to be a very difficult process to uphold. Just in terms of efficiency, blockchain replaces the whole clearing and settlement in the back end. It lowers the fees at the end of the day to a large extent, but yeah, most of these things I've discussed. I'm not really going to address that more. Just to give you a little overview of the African market, there's currently roughly 1.3 billion people. That's more than North and South America combined. With 950 million phone subscribers. That's more than Europe and United States combined. Africa represents 30% of the world's natural resources. Why do I mention that? Think of the strong companies we can onboard as STOs going forward. I'll get to the confirmed issuer list later. You'll notice we've got some strong diamond, gold mining companies, etc. We're onboarding on the platform. Some of the most influential men of the continent. Also, Africa represents 60% of the world's arable land, agriculture. We've got some strong ideas we're going to bring forth there as well. I previously mentioned, but I'd like to emphasize this. Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa are respectively the third, fifth, and sixth largest, highest amount of Bitcoin holders per capita globally, according to Citibank. Okay, confirmed issuers. This is some of the clients we're onboarding on the issuance platform. Mike Prinsloo, he's said to be the man that's moved the most physical gold around the world ever on his watch. He was the CEO of Shanti Gold, Goldfields. He was CEO of a company listed on Toronto Stock Exchange, and he was also one of the advisors that sold Mutanda Mining to Glencore for $2.1 billion. Wictumela Ramaphosa, I think a few of you know him, a good friend of mine. He's the son of our president. He's busy with StudX. We're going to assist him. We're also going to launch him on the platform, using our protocol and assisting in his raise for his product. Wayne van den Berg, a good friend of mine. He actually stays in the same Gulf estate I stay in, South Africa, and he started $1 billion coal mining company, Berg Group. And Etienne Pretorius, large property developer, close associate of Richard Branson. And thanks to him, I was actually invited last year to Necker Cup to meet Richard Branson in person. And some guys we're in discussions with as well. Yanni Ackerman also stays in the same Gulf estate I do in South Africa. I just discovered the largest diamond pipe in Angola. Last time we spoke, he's looking for 10 million. He already invested 45 million of his own money, and he's looking for another $10 million investment there. Johan Smith, a friend from me from university, his father and them have been in the juvenile diamond industry tens of years. I don't even know how long, but I know they're the largest juvenile diamond miner in South Africa. And that's basically my understanding from that is just your upper ground type of diamonds. Sorry, I see this slide didn't come out too nice. Just quickly on terms of if we compare to Polymath to make it easier, because I know that's a company most people understand. Just a few add-on benefits as we add makes us unique. We have unique escrow services to STOs. Now the reasoning behind that was in the ICO phase, a lot of companies ran away with all the capital. Now we're forcing the issuers don't get access to all the capital from day one. They get funded pro rata, 1 to 5% per month, just enough to limit their cost, and if something so go wrong, all the investors get refunded on the basis that's left. Lockup utility. Now there's basically 4 reasons for token price increases, most of you know. Burning of tokens, limiting supply. If you look at the old models, staking by the users, revenue share, etc. Now lockup, all the service provider in the MOBU ecosystem needs to stake, deposit, effectively buy the MOBU tokens that gets locked up to create scarcity of the token, this inevitably pushes up the price. This is a legal way to push up the price and remaining utility token at the end of the day. MOBU Cash, our payment solution, and of course we've got the exchange licenses as well. Now, quickly, there's no reason for a price increase for Polymath. The issuer buy the Polymath token, and the moment Polymath receive it on the other end, they sell it to pay their fees. So it's a continual process of buying, selling, the same amount of volume. And they can charge whatever fee they want on the inside. There's no competitive edge effectively. On our platform, we create multiple KYC providers, multiple legal providers to ensure better quality and lower pricing. I'm not going to go in depth with the workflow of the different platforms, of the 3 pillars, but just to give you a sound idea that we know what we're talking about. We've done our homework, and we've got a thorough understanding of this market and this space. Sorry, take a picture of that. Everything is available on our website, and also in the various white papers in various languages. Okay, so how does MOBU make money? On the issuance platform, we take 1 to 5% of the raise, and we also charge a small fee in the marketplace. When I refer to the marketplace, this is the custodians, the KYC providers, the legal providers, the escrow providers. Going forward, we would like auditors, etc., etc. We want to create an institutional grade platform, and you'll notice also from our explainer video, we've got a lot of extras we're adding to this space, stabilizing bids, green shoe options, volatility auctions, stuff that is never seen in the blockchain space. On the stock exchange, we got your traditional listing fees, your trading fees, and also in the traditional equity, we sole broker for all the digital assets, and we charge up to a 0.7% fee on the traditional equity side. MOBU Cash. Now, global remittance payments in South Africa, all of Africa, is about $1.4 billion. And MoneyGrab is the biggest competitor or player in that market. It charges up to 30% in fees for that conversion. We're charging 4.5%. Now, it still remains a profitable market, but it's 5 times less than MoneyGrab. Just a few highlights on the stock exchange. We're buying 15% equity stake, and we're obtaining a board seat. Really has a turnover of 500 million, and the very low listing fees. You're looking about a company market cap about $200,000, and we allow local and global listings. Now, if you put that into perspective, if you compare it to the JSE currently has T+3 settlement 3 days later, and Equity Express has same-day settlement. So there's no credit risk for investors, and it's more efficient, but it also have half the cost than the JSE in terms of listing. Okay, I think we all know security tokens are more efficient than traditional equity, and the market we're trying to take on is massive. Global exchanges is roughly $80 trillion. I think we all have heard this story over and over again. Real estate markets, $220 trillion. Even the art markets, over $1 trillion valuation. And I'd like to emphasize that part again in terms of efficiency. If you compare directly digital assets to traditional equity, trading fees from 0.5% to 3% in traditional equity versus your 0.1 to 0.25%. Everything is moving to real-time, lower fees, less middlemen. This is part of the future in terms of efficiency and interoperability. Fundraising costs, if you IPO, I'm going to repeat it, sorry, it's anything between 5 and 10% on your typical IPO, and STOs has proven to be half that, and also the corporate actions being a $10 billion cost per annum, which can be automated and effectively have a zero cost impact. Deloitte is of opinion that 10% of the world GDP will be built on blockchain application by 2025. And I think most of us sitting here today would agree with that statement, being in this space. But yeah, I think that has potential massive effect. This is just some of our revenue forecast in terms of what we expect of the digital issuance platform, exchanges, cash, etc. I don't think it's too far-fetched. We've got strong issues on the platform, strong marketing strategies, and we're welcome to, if anybody is interested, you can welcome to forward that. We have had to make all the assumptions based on that as well for our broker-dealer partners in America, and I can gladly forward you. If you think Binance alone, as only a utility exchange, made a bottom line profit in the bear market of 422 million, I don't think our figures are that far-fetched. Just in terms of the team, Paresh Masani, one of our blockchain developers, is a former vice president of Goldman Sachs, managed teams of over 100 developers there. Myself, I was a former CEO of all fund managers, exited successfully December, CEO about 6 years. In the first year alone, I raised 700 million. My partners included Brian Golding, which I'll get to just now. He's a former CEO of the large proprietary stockbroking firm in South Africa. We had a volume about 15 billion per month, and I was also started the largest crypto mining operation in the Southern Hemisphere in 2015. As a trader, Bitcoin immediately got my attention. As a trader looking for volatility when it jumped from $200 to $300. And I'm lucky to get involved there, approached 2 partners, and we funded. At the end of it, we had about 4 factories over South Africa with thousands of miners. Isak Viljoen, one of our legal advisors, is a partner at one of our leading law firms in South Africa. Frikkie van Biljon, a former big technical developer at Momentum, one of our listed companies, insurance company, and he's can program basically anything, BSc degrees and everything, you name it. Paul Pelser, chartered accountant, CFO. He's one of the guys that invested alongside me in the crypto mining operation. There's Etienne Pretoria is one of our confirmed issuers as well, head of business development and philanthropy for the company. I'm not going to elaborate too much. Some of our developers. I would like to highlight only about 2 or 3 from our advisors. One is a former COO of BlackRock, and we also have the former chairman of MasterCard. So I can assure you in terms of compliance, we are 100% above board, and I think you'll notice some of the faces. If you look at Philip Nunn, Vladimir Nikitin, these are famous names, Nikolai Shivlik, in the blockchain world. I trust we all have seen them in some way or form. Some of our licenses we currently obtain. So we got the stock exchange license South Africa. We got the FSB security broker license that's similar to a broker dealer in America. We got the FSB2 asset management license. We got the Singapore storage value facility similar to Revolut. We got partnerships with various broker dealers to actively really assist companies in raising capital. And future licenses we'd like to obtain. We're busy finalizing the Lithuania e-money license. And part of the stock exchange, they already issued the debt or applied for the debt notes and bond exchange licenses, and it's pending approval by our local regulatory board. That's not really something we need right now, but it's something they already applied for. We already got a lot of ATS partnerships and JV partnerships, but going forward, ideally, we would like to own our own alternative trading system license in America. Of course, BIT license to operate in New York. Binance is probably one of the only exchanges globally that doesn't have a BIT license in New York. And this is actually confidential. The transfer agency, and there's no security token exchange that has one, but the effective issuance platform that has one, but they actually is the SEC requirement in theory, and I know Securitize is applying for the first one now. So, simply put, MOBU is Polymath, T0 and Revolut combined. All three of those for the second largest continent of the world. We remain, as mentioned earlier, a global company, although our focus is Africa. Just in terms of tokenomics, similar to Binance, every third month we're using some of the revenue from the utility, both the exchange and the card side to buy back the token and burn it effectively, thus lowering the supply and effectively pushing up the price. We've also got a loyalty program. The more tokens you hold on the exchange, the lower trading fees you will pay, and also a rewards program. The rewards program is basically where we buy back the tokens, and then of course all the service providers need to stake the tokens, and thereby also lowering the supply. The crowd farming is just one of our first projects we're going to launch on the platform. We believe there's a massive scope for this, and since Africa has 60% of the world's arable land, we believe this is be an efficient structure on the blockchain to manage it. Simply put, I don't want to touch on this too much. It's just going to get confusing, but the idea is blockchain is used for information that needs to be exposed. And I once saw a crowdfunding platform that I want to invest in to effectively buy a cow. But I have no idea what they're doing with the money, where's the money going, how many cows do they have, and blockchain will allow for that transparency on the platform, so you can see what in an unfungible token what actual cow you have and what type of proceeds in calving there will be going forward, very simply put. So the idea would be cattle feedlots, buffalo farming, and you'll be surprised what the returns over the past 10 years in our buffalo market and hunting market has been for, especially for the rare game. You're looking at close to 80% ROI over that for the period, for the past 10 years. Just some of our partners: Access Legal in America, one of our legal representatives. In Toro Capital, I've mentioned them a few times. They get a BD license and an ATS license, a BD license in every state in America. Barnard Inc., one of our local attorneys. D Asset Management, a Canada-based company. And Currency Analytics is more of a marketing partner. Crypto B2B was some of our auditors on our smart contracts. Lunar Labs, some of our Singapore-based tech company support. Amazix, the number one PR firm in the blockchain world. We've got some strong ratings, but as we all know, that's one word: completeness doesn't mean too much. We get a very strong community we've built over time, and I think you'll see our presence all over the internet. We've definitely got a very strong footprint. Yeah, thank you for your time. I would like to show you just some of the prototypes, but before I get there, I'm sure the first question we always get, and I'm sure in the Q&A it's going to pop up, is what is the environment like in South Africa in terms of digital assets? Now, I mentioned earlier to some of the guys, in 2017, the word Bitcoin, in South Africa, the word Bitcoin was Googled the most. And we have no issue to convert crypto to fiat and vice versa. It's never been an issue. And we're very crypto friendly. We recently posted a video where our president said how they're going to focus on the blockchain environment, and our Reserve Bank recently issued a tender to start a digital currency for South Africa. I was fortunate enough to be invited for the tender, so we'll see how that goes along.